And yes, we are at MTELUS in downtown Montreal. It is the headquarters for Quebec Solidaire tonight. And we heard it. The polls are projecting a majority government for the CAQ. But the real question seems to be who is going to win that official opposition title, with the Liberals and Quebec Solidaire neck and neck in the latest polls. We're joined by Karim Boulos, political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Karim.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Tina.
So, I mean, right now it's pretty quiet here because the doors are not open to the public yet, but it could really be a big party at Quebec Solidaire tonight. What are your predictions? Do you think that they could get the official opposition title?
Well, I think they have the momentum. From 4 years ago, when they went from 3 seats to 10 seats, they had a heck of a party then, and they carry that momentum forward. They got their agenda noticed. They got people talking about them. Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois ran a great campaign, hammered away at the environment, hammered away at economic issues that involve green technologies. And I think it's time that a young population decides the future of the province. And so he's counting on the youth vote. And if the youth vote has anything to do with it, we might see Quebec Solidaire.
Well, that is what is so interesting, because we know that Quebec Solidaire has been courting that youth vote. They're very popular on TikTok, on the social media platforms. So do you think that the youth can really kind of make or break things for them tonight?
See, I think when you look at who's going to win, nobody cares, because we know it's going to be the CAQ.
If the polls are right, yeah.
If the polls are right, and it would be very ultra surprising if it was otherwise. So now the race for second becomes very interesting. Do we vote with a Liberal Party that may or may not be in line with what it used to stand for, and we're not really sure what that is? Or do we try something different? Because there's no real impact on policy. There's not going to be any change of the government approach. Bill 96 is going to stay there. Everything's going to remain the same under the CAQ. But the opposition will control the dialogue from across the aisle, and they'll be able to push parts of the agenda forward that mean something to the youth. Will the CAQ react? It doesn't matter. The point is, the topics will get onto the official record, and that's going to start to address some of the things that are more important to the youth than they are to a more senior population that typically votes in greater numbers.
So it'll depend if the youth do go out there and vote. Now, I do want to speak to you about the Liberals, because, you know, if you look at recent history, they have always either been in power or in official opposition. So tonight, if Quebec Solidaire manages to get the official opposition, it'll be the first time that the Liberals are not in one of those roles. So what do you think happened to the Liberals this election campaign?
Well, I think 5 parties happened to the Liberals. I think a changing of the guard within the Liberal Party with some, very strong members, state heads, if you will, people like Pierre Arcan and people like Kathleen Bale, who decided to turn, leave politics and move on to other things. I think it's a changing of the guard within the Liberal Party. And the message that the Liberals were conveying didn't really get the airtime it needed. There was nothing really resounding that made them stand out compared to Quebec Solidaire or to the Parti Québécois, for that matter, or Éric Duhaim's Conservatives. There's got to be something exciting about it, because the CAQ is a runaway leader. What are you proposing as a party, the Liberals? What are you proposing? They've been accused of taking the Anglo vote for granted or Allophone vote for granted. Well, let's say that that's not true. How are you earning that vote? And Quebec Solidaire, Parti Québécois, Éric Duhaim, they're out there earning their votes. And that's the big difference. They're not riding on any of the, as you said earlier, they've always been in power or the opposition. Well, here, for a change, that might not happen this time.
And you mentioned there people feeling like maybe they had been taken for granted. If we look at the numbers that have come in advance polling, it looks like the numbers are quite low. We didn't see as much of a turnout for those kind of safe Liberal ridings.
Now, let's remember, they're coming down from 27 seats to whatever they'll end up with, and maybe they'll hold on to them. So it will take a tall order for Quebec Solidaire to actually become the official opposition. So it's not exactly the end of the Liberal Party as we know it, but something is definitely going on. There's something happening, and that people need to understand that there's an erosion, and there's a frustration, and there are people who are angry with the Liberals, but they're also angry with the CAQ. So the protest vote can't be discounted. The protest vote won't get Éric Duhaim to be premier, but it will erode the support that some of the Liberal ridings, benefited from in the past, which could result in a CAQ winner of that seat. So sometimes just because you're not happy with the Liberals doesn't mean you're going to get your way by bringing somebody from the Conservatives, for example.
Right, exactly. You may end up giving even more power to the CAQ government.
Absolutely.
That's already projected to win a lot of power if the polls are right. I want to speak to you about Dominique Anglade's riding Saint-Henri, Saint-Anne, because even there, it is a tight race for her, between her, Quebec Solidaire, and the CAQ. Quebec Solidaire's candidate in that riding, only 24 years old. Is there a chance that she may lose her seat tonight?
Dominique Anglade has been working very, very hard as the MNA, as the leader of the Liberals, and in this election to try to keep her place, because the Southwest, that area of Saint-Henri, Saint-Anne, has traditionally gone a little bit left of center. With the municipal election, we saw it with the Projet Montréal. We've seen it with NDP doing reasonably well at the federal level. So it's not a shoo-in for Dominique Anglade by any stretch. And the CAQ candidate is also an interesting option. Another young, dynamic individual known to the community. So last time it was close for her. I think it'll be even closer this time, but I have a feeling she's going to take it.
All right, Kareem, thank you so much. A lot to watch tonight. Polls close at 8, so you still have time to go out there and get your vote. We will be at Quebec Solidaire all night. I'm Tina Teneriello, City News.